Hey Pilates enthusiasts, I'm Emmy Cole of Pilates Expanded and I'm coming to you from Snowmass, Colorado. Today I'm going to go through a series of footwork exercises ranging from quite basic to quite challenging. So we're going to start here lying on our back, head in the headrest, and our toes on parallel, hip width apart. So I'm going to take you through what I typically do as my full series of footwork here, lengthening all the way out and coming back in. So we're just toes on, parallel, hip width apart to begin. Next, I'm going to hold it straight and lower and raise the heels for a calf exercise. Then coming in, I'll replace the toes with the heels in that same hip width position as I press back and forth. So here we're using a little more hamstring. Holding it straight with just the heels on, I'll point and flex to work more of the front of the ankle. And then we'll go into the ballet first position, toes on apart, heels together. So your knees are out, but you'll draw the legs together as you press out and in, using the inner thighs. I'll maintain this outward position to again lower and raise the heels. We're working the calves in a different angle. And then I'll switch to heels on wide, which is second position ballet. As I press out and in, I'm using my outer thighs. Holding the straight position, again pointing and flexing to work the ankles at a different angle. Next, I like to do a ski pulse since I live in the mountains. Both legs and toes towards one diagonal, halfway out, and small pulses. So I'm working the outer thigh. Switching sides. And I like to finish my footwork series all the way extended for prancing, alternating dropping a heel for calves. One way to make this a little bit easier, or a little bit harder, more so, is to have one leg in shelf and to do a single leg press. So again, we'll start with just the toes on, in line with the hip. Holding it straight, lower and raise the heel. Coming in, we'll switch to the heel on, toes up, as we press out and in. Holding it straight, point and flex. And then for that first position, the toes are still turned out as the heel is turned in, but I also like this shelf to turn out as well so that it's in a balanced position. Holding it straight to lower and raise for calf. And I'll keep this shelf out to the side as I switch to the wide heel, turned out. Point and flex. And then you can still do the ski pulses. You'll just have that one foot and everything tilted as you're turned in and a little pulse there with a single leg. And then of course you would switch to the other leg. Next I'm going to demonstrate footwork and leg work using the jump board instead of the foot bar. So for this, it actually starts out a little easier than using the foot bar because you have such a stable base of support. So we'll be lying back with the feet on parallel for a basic leg press here. And then we'll switch to first position, toes apart, heels together. And then second position with the feet wide to the corners of the jump board. And once again, you can make this a little more challenging by doing single leg. So starting again with a leg press. And then turning it out into first position. And then moving it to the corner for the wide press. This series becomes more challenging by adding the foam roller pressed against the jump board. So one of the trickiest parts is getting into position and maintaining the foam roller's position. So I'm going to use my hand and then my feet to keep it stable against the top of the jump board. So you want to leave a couple inches at the top, and we'll start here with the toes on parallel as we do leg presses. And then we'll hold it straight for calf raises. And these exercises are significantly more challenging against the foam roller, but I do find that if you keep the momentum a little slower, switching into first position, that it's a little easier to keep it stable. So just try not to rush through the exercises. And then to a wide stance. Back to the center, and we'll tilt the knees for a ski pulse. Other side. And then we'll finish here with the legs parallel, all the way out for prancing. You can also add challenge to the jump board footwork by adding the mini ball. So we're gonna lay down on our back with the ball off center, so it'll be in line with one hip and 1 foot on the ball. So we're nice and secure on our carriage, but you're gonna slowly press all the way out, stabilizing on the ball, and then come all the way in. So the free leg is up in shelf as the other leg is working. This is a great one to have a spotter. If you do have an extra person, they can stand on the other side of the jump board and just kind of have their hands guarding the ball in case it's inclined to fling out from under you. Next in this progression, I have placed the short box over the shoulder rest, and I'm actually going to sit on the platform here with my back to the halfway lowered foot bar. So turning to face the short box, my hips are secure on the platform, my back is supported by the bar, and I'm going to have the feet parallel against the box as I do leg presses here. Into first position. And second position wide. The added challenge to this is to actually use the carriage instead of the short box. So I'm going to place my toes at the edge of the carriage, and my heels will kind of be touching the springs, but you can arrange your springs so that you have space for your feet. And once again, I'll start with a leg press here. And then I'll hold it straight for calf raises, lowering and raising the heels. Switching to the heels on parallel, hip width apart. Holding it straight, pointing and flexing the ankles. Toes apart, heels together into first position leg presses. And finally, wide heels. Next, I have raised the foot bar up to its highest position, and I'm going to be seated towards one side of the carriage so that my left foot is going to stay planted on the floor, and my right foot is going to line up with my hip and the arch against the carriage. So here, I'm just going to do a single leg press. And I'm going to add challenge to this by lowering the foot bar down and doing the same exercise from the floor. So left foot planted to the side of the machine, right heel against the carriage. I'm going to lean forward slightly for some extra leverage, and then I'll press the leg straight and bend in, keeping my whole body stable. And then with this, you can also turn sideways and do a leg press in a skating motion. So just this carriage leg will press out and bend in. My other leg is bent and stable to the floor. And then I'll also turn away from the machine with just my toes on in line with the hip, bending down again, and now it's a glute leg press behind me. I love incorporating props when I can, and the fitball is a great prop to use with footwork, especially if you have a client or yourself who isn't comfortable lying down for footwork and you're more comfortable sitting up. This is a great way to support your back while you're doing your exercises. So it's a tight squeeze to get in. This is a 45-centimeter ball. It's a little smaller than most that you would use for floor work, but I'm gonna let it support my spine as I push back and place the feet onto the foot bar. And now I can go through my basic footwork series. So starting with the legs parallel, I'm gonna straighten and bend. And then I'll hold the legs straight as I lower and raise the heels for calves. Bending in, I'll switch to the heels on parallel, pressing back and forth for hamstrings. Holding it straight, pointing and flexing for the front of the ankles. Switching to toes on apart, heels together for leg presses. Holding it straight, lower and raise the heel. Switching to wide heels on. And the ball does offer a little bit of instability, so you are engaging your core a little more to stay stable here, but it's really a comfortable position at the same time. Holding it straight, pointing and flex. Feet together with the knees tilted for skiing. Other side. And then I'll finish all the way out for prancing. The final component of this series is doing the footwork with the spine corrector on the reformer. And so what this does is it puts you in a leaning back position, and so your abs are engaged the whole time to maintain this position as you're doing the footwork. So I'll have my feet on parallel as I press out and in. Holding it straight for calves. Heels on parallel, leg presses. Holding it straight for ankles. Toes on apart, heels together, leg presses. And then heels on wide. Holding it straight for ankles. Knees to one side, pulsing. Other side. And all the way out, prancing. So that series is a great way to get your leg workout, but to be also working your core at the same time since you're maintaining that leaning position throughout the exercises. I hope you've enjoyed this workout, and for more information, please visit www.pilatesexpanded.com. Thanks for watching.